Okay, I'm talking to Ian Bawa today. Hello. Tell me, what inspired you to create your short film, The Best?
Thank you. Well, the best is inspired from my dad dying is the short version. But in 2020, I made a short film called Strong Son that is now going to be a feature, and I'm shooting it in the next few months. But that short film premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2020, and was about a bodybuilder and his dad going to the gym together, and just how much the dad wants his son to be strong. And it was just kind of a metaphor for my relationship with my dad. And my dad actually starred in the movie. And after it came out at TIFF, it did really well. Then my dad passed away, and I went through a lot, as most people do in grieving. And the best kind of came from that world of just trying to find your place and still be yourself while going through grief, and trying to pump yourself up going through these hard things like doing a funeral speech and having to go to a funeral and having to be normal in front of friends and family, but even though you're dying inside. So yeah, it's a metaphor for grief in a lot of ways, or just how some people deal with grief, particularly men, and men who think being tough is important.
Right. So tell me about that. Tell me a little bit about your father's belief that strength is important. So I
Yeah.
assume it's not just being physically strong, it would somehow translate into just being great at everything.
Yeah, essentially, it's the idea that, like, and it's not unusual. I think it's the old mindset that just like, you need to be the best version of yourself. And I come from an immigrant family. My parents immigrated from India in the 70s, and it was just the idea that, like, you need to be a lawyer or a doctor in order to be success. Success is money. And on top of it, my dad had the old school thought that just, being tough, being strong was important. Crying was shameful. Do not cry in front of me. And as a kid growing up with that mindset, when you do want to show your emotions, it kind of, kind of boggles your head, because all of a sudden your head and stomach is turning. And you're going, what's the emotion I should feel right now when I'm sad or upset? And crying is fine, and it's good, but it's hard when someone's telling you it's not. Um, so my dad had, like, that old uncle belief sometimes. Like, my dad was not a bad person, but it's just
Right.
those things that he was built into as an immigrant, a Sikh man, an older generation. And it carried over in the sense that he put it on me, but I never worked with me, and took therapy and medication and all these things to kind of break through. And now it comes through in my art. And I'm happy to share and talk about it all the time. But yeah, I think it's pretty common thing, but we're all kind of learning how to deal with it now.
Well, heck, it's great that you would artistically express this because I know there are a lot of gentlemen and women as well who experience that where, they're in this Western world and then their parents still want to kind of hold on.
Yeah.
And what do you have tell me how you express that through your art?
Yeah, for sure. I find, like, a lot of my work these days have just been about my family, and I think it's kind of what I just explained. I think my own. I think I have a hard time talking. Hey, I'm very open about going to therapy and stuff like that, but even then, I have a hard time talking. And a lot of my thing is, I believe a lot into legacy. I believe a lot into being vulnerable and telling your true story versus, like, whatever. And I'm not saying films need to be sad and dramatic. I think films can be funny and weird still, while still telling an important message or being vulnerable. And I think that's what a lot of my films are. I say I always try to be vulnerable and, weird and funny. For me, it's telling stories that are truthful but and still enjoyable, but still hit the heart is kind of the thing. That's my goal at the end of any movie I make. Is try to hit the heart.
Beautiful. Okay, I like the look of the movie a lot. So
Thank
please tell me
you.
how you achieved the visuals here.
Yes. So that first very the again, I call the best a pseudo sequel to Strong Son, the 2020, like, 3-minute film. So because it's a pseudo sequel, and that movie, I'll say it's online. It's a Vimeo staff pick. It's yeah, people Google it. But that movie was shot on Super 8. It was a one take Super 8, so you had a Super 8 camera, so analog film. So it was very gritty, very dirty, very messy looking, but I love it. And it kind of had a home movie vibe because of it. the best. I wanted to shoot it on Super 8. Unfortunately, because of like where I was and what I was doing, it was part of the best was part of a program at the Canadian Film Center. So it's a kind of a finishing school for filmmakers and for directors, and that was my kind of like project for that. And they were like, there's not enough time to get film developed to get like all that. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I want to shoot, Super 8 still, or we figured out. So me and my DP, who's a close friend of mine, we kind of figured out how to like, we're like, okay, we'll use these types of lenses, this type of filter, whatever, try to achieve this look. And it honestly worked out. I wasn't sure. But it looks gritty enough. And honestly, it gets grittier as the movie goes on. So yeah, the look is Super 8. I know it's fake. Some people know it's real. Filmmakers, I find, know it's fake, but like it does have a very like, the joke was too. It was such a beautiful looking film on camera. I kept telling everyone, "Be ready. We're gonna make this as ugly as possible. I'm gonna make this the most like I want to fuck this video up." And that was pretty much what I kept saying. So yeah, and we did.
Amazing. Well, heck, good to know all that. And how long was your shoot? And what would you say, sort of a two-part question, what was your greatest challenge on set?
Mhm. So like as I mentioned, the best was part of the Canadian Film Center director, Norman Jewison Canadian Film Center like directors program film. So because of that, there are stipulations. They kind of like, I don't want to call it school, but it kind of felt like that because there's all these kind of things they kind of give you because they give you a budget, they give you X amount of days, X amount of things. So there were like essentially limitations put on. And so my script was based around those limitations. So one of the limitations was only 2 days of shooting. So I wrote a script that was, vulnerable, still told a story, was very concise, was character driven, and just could be shot in 2 days. Only have four locations, and try to like but make this location worth it. The very first shot of the film is shot on it's just a long dolly shot for like 2 minutes, and I'm like, okay, there you go. Like I tried to cheat the system in a lot of ways of just having well rounded, or it's just very dynamic scenes play out a little longer and stuff like that. But so 2 days in the end, I'd say the challenge was like these stipulations. We were going through unions and stuff, so we only had 8 hours with our actor, 10-hour days, 2 day shoot. So, when you're doing a long dolly shot, you'll need multiple takes sometimes because sometimes focus is not good, sometimes the acting's not good, timing's off because we have people moving in this long dolly shot. Somehow it works out. But yeah, it's just there was a lot of challenges, but I think in the end, somehow we pulled it off, and it's playing TIFF this year as our world premiere, so it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. So this is your second TIFF. What's it like to get the news that your short films played at TIFF?
It's actually my third, weirdly enough, and
It's your
and so
third. Gee,
I know, I'm
good for
a
you.
thank you. It's an alumni situation. So 2016, I had a short. 2020 had another short. This is my third short. And I in 2021 I did the TIFF Filmmaker Lab. So TIFF and I have like a very good relationship at this point. And that's part of like festival. You want to start creating relationships early on, and hey, I've been lucky too. It's not it's just there's a whole gambit of things though why you get to do these things and play certain festivals and stuff. But yeah, it's regardless, it's always exciting. It's always like, yes, I got that email. I got that email while dealing with I got I'll give you the short version. A contractor scammed me and
Oh wow.
I know, and I had to get like a collection agency plus like there's a whole fraud of police that's dealing with it because this guy's like notorious, and I discovered he's a fraud. Anyways, because he found out I outed him, he was texting me all these angry texts and emails, and all of a sudden I get this email from Tiff in the midst of this, and I'm like, "Oh, this is great!" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're the worst fucking player." I have this, and I'm like, "This makes up for the day. This is good."
That's so
But
funny. It just slipped in there.
yeah, yeah, it was. It also felt like kind of was like surreal in a moment too, because I was like, "Is this real?" Because like just got scammed. So I don't know what's but yeah, it's always exciting. It's always good, and you kind of also like all of a sudden you're TIFF is top five film festivals in the world. It's like it's in the five, and it's exciting and nerve wracking at the same time, and you kind of just have to like do everything and and go to all the parties and make sure you're there and enjoy it as much as you can.
Okay. When you were writing the best, was there an original conception that got that changed along the way during the writing? Was
Yeah,
there
yeah.
an OG version?
Yeah, yeah. This was like a joke of a movie I wrote for
Ah,
fun, um, for a small grant here in Winnipeg, and it was gonna be a film about like basically I was just gonna get all the I'll call them Winnipeg actors. Like there's like a cesspool of just actors here that work all the time, and I was gonna just put them in, and because the first 3 minutes of the movie is voiceover, I was gonna secretly make fun of all of them. Um, it was kind of a joke of a movie. It was gonna be kind of a prank movie. And yeah. And so I kind of wrote this like blah of a script with this like kind of old guy sitting in a church, but you realize by the end of it, it's a funeral because there's a camera flip. Um, but yeah, so that was kind of it. And I pitched it as one of the many ideas for my CFC short. And my mentors were like, I like that idea. To be fair, it was the most developed. And then because I'm doing my feature, which is about a bodybuilder and his dad, I try to just kind of like mash that idea in with the original like guy at a funeral. You reveal it's his dad, but like, okay, how do we put a bodybuilder? I don't know. Like in the end, honestly, like their actor Mandeep, who is the main character in it, he's a former bodybuilder, but on camera he's not. He doesn't seem that big until like maybe his shirt comes off or when he's like working out the gym.
mhm.
But like I think the idea is it doesn't matter. This movie's about a character and and you're just kind of following this guy.
Hysterical. So you're from Winnipeg. Are you going to see Matthew Rankin's movie Universal Language when you're in Toronto for TIFF?
Yes, Winnipeg is we all know each other. I know Matt very well. Yeah, I think my a feature I produced played with him at the VIF back in like 2021, I think, or 2019, no, 2019.
Oh,
His 21st century, his first feature.
yeah, yeah.
I think one TIFF that year. So yeah, I'm gonna try to see that. There's actually a lot of Manitoba representation this year. My two good friends who I was in TIFF with in 2016 also got their short in. So they're program three, on program four. We're all gonna hang out. There's another short by Rain Vermette that's playing Wavelengths. There's a feature from Farpoint Films called Aberdeen. That's a Winnipeg film. So Manitoba's coming across strong
And
this
Guy Madden.
Guy. Oh yeah, sorry. Rumors is playing as well.
Yep.
Guy is playing. Yeah, Guy and Evan, and sorry, the Johnson brothers. Yeah. So yeah, I haven't seen Rumors yet. I'm stoked. I actually think Rumors is playing the same night as my program, so I probably will miss it. But I'll
Oh.
try to catch it on my press screening if I can, or I'll harass Guy or whatever. Send it to
I've
me.
seen Universal Language, and I'm going to tell you, it's something else.
So funny enough, that movie. So where I live in Winnipeg, it's the French area. Matthew is Rankin's French, but I don't know if the movie itself is French, but they shot a lot of it by my house, literally like around the
It's
corner.
mostly in Farsi, but there is French too.
Okay, okay. Oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah, so it's funny. I'd be walking my dog and I'd see Matt with this like 16 mil camera and like five people shooting like kind of B-roll shots around in my
Uh,
neighborhood and just like, so it's pretty funny.
Too funny. All right. I also saw you attended Fantasia Fest this year. What was that like?
It was great. It's great. I have too many things on the go. It's been a weird year where, I won a pitch contest that gave me a CBC deal for my for a feature doc. I'm doing my first feature with Telefilm like
Mhm.
in a few months. I have the best that's doing TIFF, and then I had this other short that came out like 8 months ago that premiered at Slam Dance called My Son Went Quiet, and Fantasia picked it up. And
Nice.
Fantasia's great. Fantasia's like a mixture. I called it like Fantastic Fest mixed with TIFF. But it was
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it was really fun. I ran into a lot of filmmakers I know, and then I was in my program. I was with a lot of friends. I ran into Matthew Johnson there, who or Matt Johnson, who
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
have met a bunch of times. But like it was like, oh, he's staying in my hotel, and we're working with one of his producers on my producers. So like, or sorry, on my feature. So it's like, it's a thing. It's Canada becomes smaller and smaller and smaller as you go to these festivals and stuff.
Oh, yes. All right. Well, Ian, I want to thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I had a lot of fun. Is there a final thought you want to end this interview with?
No, hope everyone just comes to TIFF or just like, we'll look out things. I don't know, watch things. It doesn't even matter if it's my movie. Just watch good stuff. It's, there's so much content these days. I just want people to watch good movies.
Well, just tell people where they can find the previous short because you said that's
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. Most of
Yeah.
my stuff's on my website, EdenBawa.com. But my Instagram is probably the best thing to get a hold of
Okay.
me or to watch anything, which is also username Ian Bawa. Everything's streamlined. But yeah, My Son Went Quiet, the film that played Slam Dance, Fantasia, a few other festivals the next few weeks, will be released online as a Vimeo staff pick on Halloween.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael.